GMEBE Bandz wasn't your regular Chicago rapper. He was like your first white rapper in Chicago that was actually respected. His look surprised fans at first. He looked more of like the frat boy type that stumbled into a trap house off 79th. It didn't look like he belonged, but in his videos, he was surrounded by members, jumping around with Uzis and extended magazines. It was no wonder he blew up so fast. But his story would take a sad and dark turn. But let's start from the beginning. His story didn't have the best beginning, as his father would get locked up when he was born, leading his mom to moving state to state to find some type of support and to find a place that they could call home. They would eventually stumble into a place on the north side of Chicago where Bandz would grow up in his formative years. But during those time, he would spend time going down on the south side of Chicago to spend time in the streets, making a name for himself. Even though at first he would take the bus and the train just to make it to the hood, he would adapt to the area pretty fast, and he would thrive in it. By the time he was becoming an adult, he would bump heads with some guys he would eventually call brothers. He would listen to a group of guys that rapped by the rap group named GME, and he'd become fond of their music, eventually bumping into them, as Bandz was known for supplying the known cough suppressant that's super big around Chicago. To their misfortune, Bandz had some other ideas. He ended up trying to sell them some fake lean, which basically was the K-Roll special at this time. After he served them, they wouldn't be able to inspect it till after he left, and it didn't end too well, as they would reach out to Bandz and pretty much set up another buy. Seeing that Bandz wasn't tucking his tail or feeling like he could finesse him again, they kind of respected him from that. Actions still need consequences. So they invite Bandz back out to the block and essentially disarm him and take everything from him. You would think this would cause a big beef or some type of war to start up, but no. These guys pretty much adopted Bandz after this. He became a prime member and very respected around the area. He would begin kicking with them, rotating in the streets, making money with them, and he'd really start building a big bond with these guys. They would do something super important too. They would put a battery in Bandz back, officially hop in the studio, and also they would give him access to the cameraman. Bandz hadn't had much experience rapping at this time. He basically picked up rapping in a Missouri Youth Authority facility where he would start freestyling and writing raps. But to this point, he hadn't really been in the studio or recorded any videos. This would be a good thing for everybody though, as the first track he would drop would go super viral. Named Demons, it wasn't a surprise, as like I said, the frat boy look really took place at this time heavily. It looked like somebody that fit in perfect, like was fitting in and was respected, but it's just like looked like something that shouldn't have been there. He would get a lot of attention by bigger blogs at this time, some of the biggest ones including Say Cheese and Vlad TV. He would also eventually secure interviews with these guys too. At this time it was a big thing, as Slim Jesus had kind of fully got exposed around this time, and that was like one of the biggest viral moments. So Vlad being Vlad, he decided to try to enlist his services to Bandz to try to expose him. Bandz is like that. He's not your average white guy that's rapping in the drill scene. He's respected, and he does what he raps about. So anything that he tried to expose him instantly got shut down. And within the Say Cheese interview, which is probably one of my favorite interviews, he did nothing but kind of just show the real him, and that this is not an act, this is actually me. This did nothing but solidify his respect in the city more for people that really haven't rubbed shoulders with him. This would put him in front of a lot of different people. He'd end up rubbing shoulders with even the likes of Tay Capone and Rondo Number 9 before he got booked. But the spotlight didn't feel too comfortable for him, as he felt too comfortable in the streets, eventually so much to his own detriment. As he would be arrested while parked in Chicago, he would be caught rolling up a blunt, and when the police pulled up, he was seen throwing an item under the seat. They would pull Bandz out the car and search the car, and where they would find a .40 caliber Glock. He would be arrested on unlawful possession of a firearm and drug possession. This would be a big setback, as Bandz would have to spend the next 3 years in prison, but it kind of came at its own benefit. As Bandz was released, he kind of separated himself from GMEBE and just ended up getting money in the streets by himself. Around this time, he became somewhat of an afterthought to fans, even though he was respected. No important news would be released until where blogs will report on Bandz being reported missing. His mom would speak out saying that she hadn't heard from her son in some days. And they eventually sent some police to Bandz' house, where it would look to be ransacked and ran through. It looked like there was some type of struggle in the house also. So they basically would report him missing and start an investigation to start finding Bandz. It took close to 30 days, but eventually his body would turn up on the south side of Chicago, far from his house. Fans and friends were heartbroken, even more so as it was a mystery of what happened. 2 suspects would initially be arrested, charged with murder and concealing a murder. Even with these 2 locked up, it was still very unclear what fully had happened to Bandz. But after one of them posted a $1 million bond, a lot of fans had speculated that there is some type of connections that may be cartel related. As a person that's able to post a $1 million bond, if you know, like, it's not just like you can just pass off $100,000. Like, you need a surety, some type of property. You know, it's a little deeper than that. So usually that comes with somebody that knows people. And with this, fans started speculating on their own theories on what had happened. And with them knowing Bandz being in the streets and actually being active, they felt like Bandz might have got caught up in a scheme where he kind of ran off with some drugs and thought these guys were not too keen on getting back. Believing these guys were some type of dorks and misunderstanding the situation, he got caught up. It would be revealed that Bandz' death would be super brutal, as he would be hit in the head. As he would pass away from blunt force trauma, he'd basically be hit in the back of the head with a baseball bat on some like casino type games. On something more you would see on like a mob movie. It didn't make it any better that 2 more suspects would be arrested. The sentencing was even more odd, as Manuel Ramirez, who was charged with concealing the murder of Bandz, would only be charged with 180 days in prison. Dakota Graff would be sentenced to 35 years for his contribution to the death of Bandz. William Estar would be sentenced to life, but before he could fully get sentenced, he would end up fleeing to Mexico, where he would eventually be caught up in 2024, where he's kind of still going through the process of getting extradited back to America. And Colton Konecker receiving 32 years. Even after this whole process of sentencing and getting all the suspects that was related to this incident arrested, it still isn't clear on what fully happened to Bandz and why he met his tragic ending. But yeah, it's definitely a wild story. He's gonna forever be etched into the history books of drill rap, and honestly, he is a decent representation of what a Chicago rapper is. And it is, even though his little time in the spotlight was short and he really didn't, mess with it at a time, R.I.P. Bandz. It's sad to see anybody go out like that, especially when you got a mother that loves you and stuff like that. No matter how people may diss on the lifestyle of being in the streets, he still had people that loved him. So R.I.P. Bandz. And I think I'm gonna play his mom's little memorial thing at the end of this. I think that was kind of touching, even though, you know, you look at all the videos and pictures of Bandz, you might get your own little idea of him, but you know, he could have been a great person under all them guns and tattoos, you know. So don't judge people by their cover, you know. Judge them by their character. Let me know what y'all think about GMEBE Bandz story. Who else y'all want to see? Drop that down below in the comments. Y'all be smooth. I will see y'all in the next video, man.